All right. So what were the anomalies we don't know about? Rock concerts, tours, things of that nature that you had to plan through amidst all the other traps that we've discovered you have to run.
Yeah, honestly, this one was pretty typical for us these days. Taylor Swift is still out there touring, so weekends in Miami and New Orleans, maybe Indianapolis. Green Day took a weekend out of SoFi, so the Rams and Chargers both had to adjust to that. The usual mix of baseball teams. For years, we were able to kind of ignore the Orioles as we think about the Ravens' October schedule. Those days are probably gone now.
Nice. Look at you.
Thinking about MLS teams, right? We're thinking about MLS teams that share our buildings. We're thinking about NASCAR races, college football games, Army, Navy. It's always something. And the real question for us always is, can you accommodate all those things without it affecting, the integrity of the NFL scheduling process? And then you factor in things like these multiple short weeks. You mentioned San Francisco playing 2 Thursdays. Did we spread them out far enough from each other and spread them out far enough from the 49ers bye? So yes, a couple of short weeks, but also 3 kind of full rest periods, or 2 mini buys and a full bye. The Wednesday teams playing in that Christmas round robin was a unique challenge for us. You had to find 4 teams that all played each other home and away for each, that we could count on here in May, that we thought were going to be able to hold down national television windows in week 16 and 17. Christmas is its own animal. Obviously, the fans have showed that they'll show up and find those games, hopefully on any platform we put them on. Netflix will be an exciting new challenge for us all. But you're playing Wednesday. You're also playing the previous Saturday. And as you know, your beloved Michigan Wolverines might be in a first-round college football playoff game that Saturday. So it all goes into the puzzle. We're all trying to think about solving for everything. And, if not making everybody happy, hopefully disappointing them all evenly.
Love it. You said 3 things there that I want to pull on a string here before I let you go.
Michigan's not in the first round.
No. Thank you. No, sir. First of all, you're talking about the Orioles affecting the Ravens' schedule, so Adley Rutschman and the rest of those O's dominating right now the way that, they look terrific again. Yeah. Is that part of the reason why, if you put up the Ravens schedule, Mike Hoskins, look at weeks 5 through 8, those are all October dates. They're on the road 3 times. Is that really what's up with that there?
Yeah. We got to be cognizant of the fact that the Orioles may well be playing baseball, hard enough for us to predict, which of our NFL teams are going to be in playoff shape down the stretch. Here we are now also kind of handicapping Major League Baseball season and thinking about what it's like between the Orioles and the Ravens in that market. You'll remember not that long ago when the Ravens won the Super Bowl, when Flacco had his magical postseason run, they weren't even able to play that kickoff game, that Thursday opener, because the Orioles had a game, and those 2 teams weren't seeing eye to eye. And so we ended up putting the Ravens on the road. I think they went to Denver, and maybe Peyton threw 7 touchdowns, something like that. That felt like a horrible way to start the season for the Super Bowl champs. So constantly being cognizant of what's that relationship like between the Ravens and the Orioles, and being respectful of the fact, to your point, that the Orioles may well be there down the stretch in October. And should they be working around Ravens games? Are we going to have trouble with the parking lots, with municipal services, with the police? It might be a really fun day in Baltimore to have both of them playing at the same time, but is that really the right thing for the market and for the fans? So yeah, no question that the Orioles are impacting the Ravens schedule. The Phillies are impacting the Eagles schedule. The Pirates not yet impacting the Steelers schedule, but one of these years, my beloved Pirates are going to be there in October, and we're going to have to think about that.
Yeah, they're right down the street, too. And you take a look at the Chiefs, who play right across the street from the Royals. You have only 1 home game in October for the Chiefs. They put them on a bye and then on the road for the rest of October.
Yeah, look, some of that was also television driven. You think about that Kansas City at San Francisco game, maybe game of the year type stuff, maybe the most anticipated game of the 2024 NFL season. So trying to find the right home for that one. You could make a case that last year, the most anticipated game of the season was Cincinnati, Kansas City, and the whole Burrowhead stuff and all of that. And we put it in week 17. And by the time we got to it, man, Burrow wasn't even there anymore. The Bengals were fading from playoff relevancy. It was almost like we waited too long to deploy that really good asset. We were cognizant of making sure that a Kansas City San Fran game got in earlier in the season. You do it really early in the season and it's a Super Bowl rematch, and you do it really late in the season and maybe it's a Super Bowl preview. You do it kind of in like that week 7 range. It's a bit of both. So kind of like that game in week 7. And yes, that's another road game for the Chiefs in October. You throw the bye in there and suddenly you go, whatever it is, 4 or 5 weeks with only one home game. You know, they do start the season with 2 consecutive home games. They are in that Christmas round robin at the end. The Chiefs are pretty constrained. We're using every one of those games, hopefully as strategically as we can.
Yeah, not to put you on a spot. I saw you put Pittsburgh in Denver very early. Is that because maybe Justin Fields gets on the field later on, and you want to put Russ in his old spot right off the bat?
None of us are in that quarterback room. I don't know if Russell's going to be the quarterback. I don't know if Justin's going to be the quarterback. Russell returning to Denver, I think is a little different than Russell returning to.
Well, there's no question.
Right? When we did that one a couple of years ago, it was the first Monday night game of the season.
Yeah, you had no chill on that one, Mike. You just threw that.
Yeah, exactly.
You put that up first Monday.
I'm not sure Russell going back to Denver is quite the same. Right. You know, you think about Cousins going back to Minnesota, Diggs playing Buffalo again. Like, we can't put all those storyline, revenge, so-and-so returns games in the national windows. But there's nothing wrong with holding down a good chunk of the country on a Sunday afternoon, as we always talk about. You put good games in primetime, you still got to have good games for Sunday afternoons as well, and good stories for our friends at CBS and Fox to tell on a Sunday afternoon. And, I wouldn't say that, Steelers game going back to Denver was top of mind for us, but don't mind the fact that it's nice and early. And maybe if Russell is playing quarterback, that's the story. Whereas if those two teams play each other later in the season, the story is, how's their season going? What are their playoff implications? What's their record, as opposed to being able to, talk about a return game kind of storyline.
The other two things as well that you mentioned before, I'll hit quickly with you before I let you go. I know you've been spending a lot of time with us here. The VP of NFL Broadcast Planning and Scheduling, Mike North, is here. You obviously were looking at Taylor Swift's Eras tour dates to see if there was a certain stadium open or not. Did you match up her tour dates with the Chiefs' schedule here to see if she was in town, or maybe she might stop by and
might give you a little eye roll,
raise a rating or two? Like,
I'm sure if she wants to get to a game, she can get to a game. I know the conspiracy theorists think that we coincided that KC Buff game with her trip
she's
to
in Toronto. Yes, correct.
No truth to that. Look, the honest truth is, you were talking earlier about how are you doling out your Kansas City assets. Think about what we're doing with them down the stretch. They're in Black Friday, really important to our friends at Amazon, really important to us as we try to build a new holiday, tentpole for the league. So we're using the Chiefs on Friday of week 13. We're using them on Sunday Night Football in week 14. That's a Fred Gaudelli staple. Give me the big brands in December, a Kansas City, a Green Bay, a Dallas, because it's hard to have flexible scheduling when you get to December and you've got all these more mouths to feed. You've got fewer games that are even available for flex on Sunday afternoon. So give NBC something that they feel like they can count on. And then we talked about the Christmas round robin there in 16 and 17. Those games are gone. So, if CBS is going to get that Kansas City Buffalo game, we're running out of places to put it in December. So that kind of week 11 is almost as late as you could find it, maybe week 12. So did it happen to coincide with Taylor's trip to Toronto? Yes. Was it intentional? It was not. But if she wants to show up, I'm sure we'll make sure there's a seat for her.
Okay, Mike North. You got something, Suze, before?
Could be a package deal.
It
could be a great package for the NFL to package it with Taylor, like a back-to-back.
Tickets to both, right?
I'm telling you,
yes,
don't you think? I think it's a great idea.
And
maybe we should go just to see what that's like for the
I'll
experience.
meet you there, Mike. Let's try it out this year. Just
best for the league.
Let's workshop it.
Great answer, Mike, because you were just talking to somebody who can absolutely CC Roger Goodell in an email literally right now. She could be forming.
Probably get to more than I could. Yes.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.